Hi there, everyone. I'm so thrilled to actually introduce you to a great friend of mine, but also a colleague that I've been working with for years. But most recently, this time last year, I think it was, we started the high performing team program with her team at the studio, but also within the IDL comms team. So this is Michelle. Michelle is a marketing manager of the studio. So we're going to have a little chat about what wins she had, but also her team over the period for the past year, but very much in the 3-month period that we did the program. And then I'm really curious about how you're getting on since COVID and how that has helped. So Michelle, welcome.
Thank you. Lovely to be here, Ciara.
Okay, so Michelle, I'm just going to, I suppose, for everybody's, I suppose, to understand what the program was. We started out this time last year, and we created a tailored high performing program for the IDL comms team. And then obviously you as the team lead for studio then embarked on that story and that journey. So I really, I suppose, for that period, for that 3 months, so we started in November. Actually, no, we started in October, I think it was.
Yeah, in
and
preparation.
Then, so it was October, November, December. And then and we had check-ins then in January, February. So for you in that period, what were your wins as a team lead, professionally and personally?
Yeah, for me, there were just so many wins. I suppose from the outset, it's quite a personal discovery, in that you're given these tools to really understand yourself, understand your strengths, what you need, you know, for yourself, and I suppose bring in your best self to the business. But not only really the business, to I suppose your whole world. It's quite a personal discovery, which I found just so empowering. But then also that discovery and greater understanding what you can bring then to your team. And I suppose it started off, as you said, that preparation where you do go through that discovery of the strengths. And there were many light bulb moments of like, yes, I am reading myself through this and the 5 strengths. So it really hit home for me. And it really hit home in terms of what I needed to really lean into those strengths and how they energize me on a daily basis. There were things like, you know, the strengths that really shone out for me were futuristic, connectedness, learner, and it was the ability to recognize when maybe I was low in energy. Okay, what's missing at the moment? What do I need to lean into? And that was both, you know, as I said, on a personal and a professional side. Like you can lean into your strengths, and you know, during your lunch break as you start off the day, so that you I suppose start off on the right foot and then can bring your best self to that day. So as I said, there was that personal discovery. But then when we went into November and we had the team session, that was incredibly powerful, because you're able to share with the team, okay, this is me and my strengths, this is what I need more of or less of. But to be able to share that as a team, it was incredibly powerful. And there is, I suppose, an aspect of vulnerability, but there's such power in that as well, in that sharing. And also, I mean, naturally, we all have our own blind spots. So you can read through the strengths and kind of take your lens from it. But there's something incredibly powerful when you have someone in your team going, actually, no, this is what we need from you. This is a huge strength that you bring to the team. And that was incredibly powerful. And for us as a team, I felt like that session, it just opened up so much for us. As I said, it was that greater understanding of ourselves, but then greater understanding of what we can bring to the team, and what the team needs from us. And that really unlocked a huge amount for us. And I can still see the benefits still playing out a year later, to be honest.
I love it. And I'd love to explore what those benefits were, just for everybody listening as well. When you talk about that session, what did you see differently happen in the team after that session?
Yeah, for me, it really impacted just how we how we work as a team, because we could recognize the strengths in each other. So an example would be, there's a creative in the team and one of his strengths was focus. And we have been able to implement, I suppose, a change in his workflow so that he can focus and he's given that time, and have just seen him blossom as a result. Another one, one of the guys, one of his strengths was includer, and how he kind of articulated that was, you know, he can work on a project by himself, but when he works with others, just so much more is brought to the project creatively. So we were able to influence that in the everyday ongoings of the team. So when a project would come in, yes, we're looking at everyone's competencies and their talents and their skills, but also their strengths and how they can play into certain projects. So that was pretty much an instant win for us as a team. But then also holding each other accountable for what we shared in that session. So one for me is connectedness. And I get that from lots of things, from nature. You know, I often need it just to kind of re-energize myself, but I get massively energized from connecting with people and specifically with the team. So like our one-to-ones that would happen weekly or bi-weekly, once I have those sessions, I have a huge amount of energy that I get from them. And you know yourself, in busy times, certain things can be cancelled, and it's often the things that you need most that are kind of pushed to the side. But the team were amazing in holding me accountable for those one-to-ones because they knew how important they were for me. So, you know, let's say if things needed to be moved around, it was never, you know, let's push it to next week. It was, okay, tell me a time that suits better later on today or tomorrow. And I still got to have those sessions. And I think it was that openness and accountability to each other of the recognition of the strengths. Because I suppose they knew that if I had those sessions, I would be a better colleague and a better manager as a result. So it was, yeah, across the board, lots of things that just kind of naturally fell in. And then I suppose another thing was that obviously with all COVID happening, March, everything kind of changed. And lots of people were struggling. I myself, kind of a month in, I hit a bit of a wall and couldn't figure out what it was. And the strengths enabled me, I suppose it was an amazing tool for me to allow myself to step back and figure out, okay, what's changed? You know, and there was a huge, I suppose, light bulb moment when I realized that a lot of what energized me in my day-to-day pre-COVID had been stripped out. So I was able to, I suppose, acknowledge that and then change that. So what are the things that I could introduce to my day that would energize me? And a very simple thing like journaling. I'm now doing every single day as a result of that session. And I suppose we tapped into the strengths individually, but then we had a session as a team as well. And that really helped. So it's been an incredible journey of kind of self-discovery, team discovery, but also an amazing tool to tap into when you need to. And I suppose having a tool there kind of strips the emotion out of, oh, I'm struggling, like, what is this emotion? And to be able to have a tool that you recognize as a team is an amazing thing, because you have that common language and that collective tool to work through together. So that's been amazing.
I love it. And Michelle, you know, you touched on something there with, you know, what the program, how it changed pre and post or during COVID, as we say. I'm really curious about the team now, because you were a very tight-knit team. And I always remember that session in November and that big long table, and you were all sharing and having those meaningful feedback sessions of what I want more of and what I want less of. How did you keep that interaction going while in a remote work setting? And how did the program help you keep the learning and the ways of working alive during this period?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it certainly was a difficult period, because, as you said, we're a close-knit team, and especially a creative team. They get so much energy and inspiration just through that human interaction and that having the crack in the office, and did you see that video, and have you seen the latest ad? And that human interaction is so incredibly important. And we recognize that as a team. So one of the things that we quickly kicked in when COVID hit was, for the first few months, we'd have a morning huddle. So every morning at 9:30, we'd all hop on and have that interaction and having the crack and how is everyone today? And again, that open communication really shone through. And you know yourself, we've all kind of gone through peaks and troughs with COVID. There's certain times when you want to talk about it, and then there's other moments when you don't want to talk about it. And we kind of probably, when we came out of the first wave, everyone was a little bit over talking about COVID. So I suppose we kept things fresh in that, you know, you can get that creative stimulus and inspiration from each other in the office, but we needed to, I suppose, replace that with a virtual forum. So something that we've implemented just in the last, I would say, month, is that we have on a Monday morning, we have a culture drop. So we all hop on at 9:30 in the morning on a Monday, and instead of how's everybody's weekend and everyone, you know, nothing really happened because we've been in lockdown, we're kind of shifting the focus to talk about what have we seen culturally. And giving a purpose to each of those connections has been really important. So we start off the week with like a culture injection and an energizer, so that everyone starts their week with inspiration from other brands, other companies, instead of starting the week with, oh God, here's another week in lockdown that we're not all together. So that's been a really big shift. And I suppose the important thing is, as a team, having that open communication to say, you know, if something's not working, look, this isn't working for me right now. Because at lots of different stages, we'll all lean into different strengths, or we'll all need to maybe lean out of certain vulnerabilities. So it's important to have that open communication and say, actually, no, that's not working for me right now. Let's shake it up and keep it fresh. So that's been quite a big piece for us recently. Yeah.
Love it. And there's particular celebrations I saw the past week, or was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So again, I'd love you to share a little bit about, well, you know, when we look at the program and how it has helped communication, collaboration, but also
Yes.
performance and creativity. Yeah. Is there anything that you'd like to share in terms of what are the wins that you've seen with the team recently?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, very excitedly, we recently won 2 SOCI awards. So one for best in-house content creation, and another for best for Instagram for a brand.
Amazing.
That was a really big moment for us, because the studio it's only 3 years old. We're still kind of embarking on our voyage, and one of our key goals really for this year was recognition, creative recognition within the Irish industry. So to get that recognition for the SOCIs was just huge for us. And it's quite funny because one of the, I suppose, the key projects that I'm assuming helped us claim those awards was cold brew. So it was definitely our biggest project to date, where we were working across multiple project streams for the launch of Jameson cold brew in the US. And I suppose it was probably perfect timing having that team session in November, because we'd gone through quite a bulk of the work at that stage. And that team session allowed us to, I suppose, openly talk about challenges or what we needed more of or less of from everyone in the team with quite a live project. And we were able to keep that open communication going. So we had quite a similar session in January where we tapped back into our strengths. How were they working? Are they still servicing us as a team? And definitely that collaboration, greater communication as a team certainly helped, because it was definitely the biggest project for us to date. I'm delighted to see it was a huge success for the States and for the brand, and then getting those extra awards, it was just the cherry on top. to be given that recognition. So for me, having like a live project like that you can actually work through and use the strengths as a tool is incredibly powerful. Yeah.
Love it. No, and it was so brilliant to see the energy and the celebration, because it was so well deserved. It was such great recognition, as you said, for the industry, from the industry, which is amazing.
Yeah.
If I was to ask you, Michelle, just a summary of what would be the top 3 things you would say that actually came out of the program from working with FUTURENEERZ, from a personal kind of team lead perspective, but also as a team. What are the 3 things that came up for you as a team lead?
Oh, for the 3 things, I suppose to kind of start, it's that self-discovery. We all think that we know ourselves, but it's only until you kind of hold a mirror up to yourself that something's really unlocked. And for me, I just loved how refreshing this was, in that it wasn't looking at weaknesses and how to improve, it was looking at strengths and how you lean into them. And I just find that incredibly refreshing and energizing, and a real tool to better yourself just day in, day out. So I think that the personal discovery was a huge aspect for me, and I certainly saw the benefits and fruition of that in my personal relationships, in, I suppose, the energy I was bringing to work day in, day out, but then also in the team, and how you show up to the team was really powerful. Then another one, I just think that greater understanding of each other within a team is incredible, in that we all know personalities and skills and competencies, but that additional layer of strengths, it provides a clarity, and then I think it gives more, I suppose, differing roles for everyone in the team and what they can bring, because there's going to be certain moments where you need to lean into, let's say, the futuristic side of someone, or you need to lean into the woo side of someone, and knowing kind of what team players to bring to the mix, whether it's a project, whether it's a challenge, whether it's, there's always something that comes up, but knowing the best people to, I suppose, succeed, but then bring the best to that situation is very powerful. And really it's that sharing of that common language and that tool. Still to this day, we use that language. We talk about it, in our one-to-ones. We use it in our kind of, I suppose, our looking forward for the year. What are the things that we want to achieve, but then what are the strengths to lean into to deliver against that? So to have something whereby it was an incredible session in the moment in November, but an ongoing tool that we can use collectively going forward. For me, as I said before, refreshing in the discovery, but incredibly useful and a tangible tool to use in the everyday as well.
I love it. Thank you so much, Michelle. It's an absolute pleasure, as always, chatting to you. And
thank you. Thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, well, thank you. And thank you to your whole team and the wider IDL comms team, because it's an absolute pleasure and privilege to work with teams that are so passionate and so focused. And I suppose it's lovely to see you all blossom over that period of time and really come into that high-performing, thriving team, despite COVID, despite the challenges. That's what I just, with the credit and hats off to you all. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ciara. It's been an incredible journey, and it wouldn't have been possible without you. So just thank you for bringing us through this amazing discovery and all that it's given to us as a team and individually.